You're watching Video 101, What Does a Video Cost? I'm John Crossman. Today we are talking about post-production, the third phase of video production, and we're talking about editing, which is where a large part of your budget is going to end up going. Now, editing includes, obviously cutting picture, cutting sound, doing graphics, and can include animation. Graphics and animation I'm going to talk about in a different video. Today I'm really just trying to give you an idea about what the editing process is. People that love to shoot, love to write, love to watch TV, love to work on movies, many of those people absolutely detest editing. Well, why is that? I don't know all the answers, but some things that I've seen in people that I've hired to be editors that haven't really liked it is it's constant decision making, and that is hard for some people because you're choosing this shot instead of that shot. You have to have a certain mindset to know that, to trust your judgment that this is a better shot than that shot for this particular time. You also kind of need to have the mental flexibility that maybe after the piece is put together and you sit there watching it, you're going, actually the shot I didn't pick would go best here, or the take I didn't pick would go best here because of, these three reasons that now I see that I didn't see at the time. But, of course, learning to edit in news, you learn to either have a good instinct. Well, you don't learn. You either have a good instinct and learn to trust it, or you don't. And I've seen many editors really get tied up in knots, having to make constant decisions. What do I use? What do I don't use? And they end up not liking editing. I mean, they might even actually be good editors, but they end up not really wanting to be editors because they just get tired of that pressure, as opposed to a shooter who is capturing what's going on. Their job is to just make sure they capture it, in an artistic way in some cases. And, there's talent in every aspect of the process. But one of the talents that, editors have to have is patience, because you are constantly making decisions, and that's just not something everybody likes to do. But I like to do that. I've always liked to do that. And so most of my life I have been an editor. So the factor that's behind how much time it's going to take to make all those decisions is how much footage does an editor have to work with. If I have 25 hours of footage, how long is it going to take me to watch it? Once. 25 hours. There's 40 hours in a week. Well, between starting and stopping and interruption and whatnot, if I have 25 hours of footage, it's probably going to take me more than a week to actually watch it. When I am editing a project and I am having to make these decisions all the time, the more I am familiar with the footage that I have to use, the better decisions I will make. That's just the simple math. And so if I have 25 hours of footage, I'm not going to watch it just once and make an edit. There are all kinds of projects, but we're not talking about, a lecture. A 25-minute lecture you probably could watch and, even almost edit it as you watch it. But we're not talking about that kind of project. We're talking about a scripted kind of polished piece. So that's the main factor, is how much footage does the editor have to work with. The more footage, the longer it's going to take. I don't have a specific, formula to figure that out, because there are different kinds of edits. If you have a 20-minute TED lecture, and you've got 3-4 cameras to choose from, once you get it into the computer and ready to review, which could take a couple hours to get everything ready to just watch. Now you're going to watch it and it's going to be over in 18 or 20 minutes. So now you've seen it, you're kind of familiar with it. Maybe you've set it up or done it what they call a multicam edit, so you can see all the cameras at the same time and they're in sync. Well, now you're going to go back and you're going to cut between cameras. then you're going to look at it again. Did that cut work? Now, a TED lecture is pretty self-contained and pretty what I would consider easy editing. You still have to have a motivation between every decision that you make when you switch cameras. Sometimes the motivation can be just general pace. Sometimes it can be the way the person turns. They turn into one camera and away from another, so you of course wouldn't show their back to the audience, your video audience. There's all kinds of reasons and motivations you can have for an edit, but they all have to be motivated, even in something as simple as a TED Talk. So I hate it when people talk about, oh, a picture's got to change every X number of seconds, or, if that's what you're trying to do, if you're cutting to music that tells you to cut, that's one thing, but to me, that's the decision-making process. People that go, oh, I only use 3-second shots, well, that's kind of a cop-out, because how can you make that decision? How can you limit your decision until you're actually working on the project? So that's what editing is all about. It's the amount of editing it's going to take will be directly related to the amount of footage that the editor has to work with, and more means more. Time is money, and the more time it takes for an editor to become familiar with what they have to work with, then the more time it's going to take and the more money it's going to cost. In the next video, we'll talk about kind of two sub-items that I've had a lot of experience working in, and that is graphics and animation, and why it doesn't necessarily have to be a scary thing. There's lots of stuff, really good stuff you can do pretty quickly. And at the same time, you might be surprised at how some simple stuff takes so long to do. So, my name is John Crossman. You're watching What Does a Video Cost? Part of Video 101. Thanks for watching.